First things first, Dannic, how are you?
I'm really good, thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Before we talk about your new record, I'd like to go back quickly.
Yeah.
Do you remember the first album you ever bought?
The first album I ever bought, I think it was a CD single.
Okay.
So it was just a single by, I think it was Michael Jackson actually.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it was Billie Jean.
Why Billie Jean?
Why Billie Jean? I think that's the most simple record. I mean simple with it's such a simple bass line, but it just sticks with you. I think it's one of the best tracks that Michael Jackson did ever. So I'm a big fan of him.
Still?
Yeah,
you
still.
Still listen to the song?
Yeah, he's a legend. I'm a big fan of 70s, 80s music, Motown music in particular. Like anything that has groove and soul in it, I love that. And I actually played that a lot back in the days when I was just DJ Dan.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And well, this is interesting because obviously you're a house DJ.
Yeah.
So aside from the music that you make, what type of music do you listen to? Still that 70s soul and?
I tend to listen to everything actually. Yeah, as I told you, I'm a big fan of Motown music, so I have a big CD collection, Motown music, soul, funk, and I think that's something that translates into the music I make nowadays. It's of course it's electronic music right now, but it still has to have that groove and that soul to it.
And well, you mentioned DJ Dan.
Yeah.
And in previous interviews, you always said you started out as a DJ and kind of gradually became a producer. When was the turning point?
The turning point was when they opened the club in Breda, my hometown, and they asked me to play there every now and then. So I just wanted to do something extra, so I started experimenting with making edits and you know, first it was like shortening some tracks and just cutting them in half, and then I added some vocals on top of it, and you know, slowly it became like more and more making a song, yeah, a bit of my own, and yeah, try to come up with different sounds and new material every weekend, just to keep it fresh, because the bar person was always like listening to my stuff, so I tried to come up with new sounds every weekend.
Do you remember the first track that you made by yourself that you were proud of?
The first ever track I made I was really proud of was I think it was a remix for the Party Squad back in the days, which was like, they were huge back then, and they released some stems on the internet, so you can make a remix out of it. So I had the vocal and some synthesizer and stuff, and I made a bootleg of it and made my own drop. And of course at the time it sounded like shit, but I was really happy with it because it was my first ever real DJ Dan track.
You say it sounded like shit to you now.
Yeah.
Do you still have those recordings?
Of course, yeah. I actually just opened up my old computer just to check out what I made back in the days, and it's so funny to see how I evolved to become an actual producer that produces quality music.
Right. Could you hear already in those recordings what you were trying to do, or where you wanted to go with the music?
Yeah, back in the days I was actually trying to copy existing music, like commercial music was a hype at the time. So I wasn't really focusing on creating something of my own, I was just trying to make something. And I think when I started more and more DJing and started become a producer, I developed my own sound and actually started to listen to tracks by Funkerman and Fedde Le Grand. They had their own label, Flamingo Records at the time, which was all about groove and housey music. And that's kind of where I got my inspiration from, and that's where what I'm still doing actually. Okay.
And well, you mentioned Funkerman. You won a remix contest for Funkerman, and around the same time, was it around the same time that the dance tour contest? Was it around the same
it was the same year.
Oh,
it was 2009, and I entered the remix competition for Funkerman and Shermanology, and I had the second place. So that was amazing for me. And back in the days, I was working on music like every day, so I was just locking myself up in my bedroom studio and just trying to come up with something unique. And obviously, like that was kind of the starting point. Like, okay, this is something I really like, and I want to do it more and more. And so yeah, I was creating my own sound.
And if you look back at those times and the music that you make now, what is the biggest development in your own eyes? What do you think you've kind of...
Obviously, sound design.
Okay.
Right now, yeah, I have more knowledge of how to produce music and how to create my own synthesizers and stuff, and my own synths, because it's really like nowadays, like everyone can go onto YouTube and check out a tutorial how to make a Avicii sound or whatever. But I'm really into like modulating everything and trying to come up with that unique sound that no one ever tried before, and just give it my own thing.
And well, what you mentioned that nowadays you can find everything online.
Yeah.
EDM has kind of exploded over the last couple of years. So is it difficult now to distinguish yourself from what everybody else is doing?
Yeah, I would say yes. I would say it's really difficult to come up with something unique, because right now everyone is hopping on the train and is trying to become a producer. Like back in the days, I wanted to become a soccer player, and now everyone wants to become a DJ, which is cool because like there's more talent involved right now. I see a lot of young kids, like they're 15, 16, and they present tracks to me, and I'm like, did you really make this yourself? And they're like, yeah, I'm working in the studio every time. I'm like, wow. Because it took me like 2 to 3 years before I was even happy with what I put out. But yeah, it's really hard to distinguish yourself nowadays. But I see a lot of young kids out there that are really succeeding in coming up with something totally unique that I didn't think of. So I think that's a great thing.
So there's not too many DJs now.
Let's put it this way. I think there are just a few DJs that really do it because they love it, because they are passionate about it, and there are a few of them that do it because of the wrong reasons, in my opinion, because they want to get famous or whatever. But you can really see that if you're in it because you love it, yeah, they will show eventually to everyone that's listening to your music or they see you play. Like you can't yeah you can't act like you love it.
Sure.